Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Lead In with Lorne. We've been gone for a couple of weeks, so it's so great to be back with you. I was thinking that when my grandchildren and are older, my age, they're going to talk about being in this COVID period and what it meant and the implications of that. And when I was born in 1950, and my parents were really worried about polio. One of my dad's relatives had contracted it. Young kids who got it at that time ended up either dying or ended up being typically paralyzed from the neck down. They had a hard time breathing. It was very difficult. It was a very, very challenging disease until, of course, vaccination came along. And I was reading the other day about a fellow by the name of Paul Alexander, and some of you may have heard this story, but it's just kind of worth thinking about people like Paul and why they're such an inspiration for us. So Paul did contract. The horrible thing happened to him. He got polio. It took him a year to learn how to breathe on his own for 3 minutes. But if you follow the story of Paul's life, he ended up graduating from university, got a law degree from the University of Texas, and practiced law, and was a very, very good lawyer. And he's lived a full life. He's written a book that essentially he wrote it with an instrument out of his mouth where he key tapped every single word himself. He's an accomplished painter. He just lived a full life, and he lives alone. I'm not sure if he still does, but he has a caregiver that comes in, and he's had to cobble parts for the iron lung because no one really has this machine around anymore. Paul's a remarkable story, and there are many Pauls on the internet. We probably know metaphors of Paul, but he's such an example of having a mind, the power of the mindset. I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself the other day for all kinds of reasons that we all have on our own. And I just kind of bumped into Paul Alexander's story was being talked about on NPR or somewhere. And I was just sitting there going, wow, what a great example of having a growth mindset, not feeling sorry for yourself or feeling stuck that you just can't do anything about your situation. We're all challenged with things, but having a growth mindset, have the mindset piece is such an important consideration for going forward. And sometimes we just need a nudge or a bit of an inspiration, because every one of us gets stuck in a fixed mindset sometime, and where we think we can't do anything about it, so why bother? And of course, when you're there, that's not a healthy place to be for a long period of time. Growth mindset has a belief that you can do something about your situation, and your focus is on taking actions that you can move you forward on it. So that led to one other principle that I just kind of want to remind you of. And this was inspired by Betty Reid Soskin, who just turned not too long ago 100. And when she turned 100 years old, she retired from the National Park Service in California. And she was the park ranger at the Rosie the Riveter World War II park there. And what I found so interesting about Betty's story, beyond the fact that she was a ranger that had got to be 100 years old and was very active, is that she decided to become a ranger when she was 85. So she had only been with the National Park Service for 15 years. So, there's not too many 85-year-olds that I know that pop out of bed one day and said, I think I'll become a park ranger. And good for Betty. What an amazing story. But I heard Betty being interviewed with her daughter, and one of the things that Betty embraced in a very active, again, full life that she's led, obviously, is that it wasn't about how many vegetables she ate or whether she drank one glass of wine or didn't or whatever. Betty's view was that for her, it was about being present, that she really genuinely, her daughter kind of confirmed, her philosophy in life was to dedicate her time to the moment that she was in. And then she found when she did that she was more able to be decisive when things came across her in front of her, because she was prepared she was present, she was aware. And a lot of times, I don't know about you, but it's easier to get sitting in the past, you kind of, or start really thinking way about the future, and we miss the present. We just miss the moment, the way we might, because our mind wants to take us back or move us forward, and we have to control it enough to sort of stay present. So I just kind of wanted to leave those two considerations for you, as maybe you have a conversation with one of your team members or a colleague or your team around the importance of having a growth mindset, what that looks like, and this idea of also being in the present, to be very present. We are where we are right now, and that's, we can work on. Sometimes those two considerations help us navigate and just find our way forward, with just a sense of more personal kind of calmness and equanimity, I guess, a little bit if we can. So I just want to leave those two thoughts with you. I'm working on them. Maybe they make sense for you. We have to be relentless about having a growth mindset, I think, and remind ourselves to stay in the present. So with that, so great to be back with you. Hang out on our socials as always. Yeah, join our YouTube channel or subscribe to the newsletter that Garrett and I have been doing now for a decade, and we're so proud of. And it's at LorneRubis.com. Yeah, come hang with us. We really appreciate you. Inspire us to have a growth mindset and to be present. Thank you. See you soon.